Go away, you useless wife who can't even do chores. I sat on the floor, feeling small and insulted, while my mother-in-law stared at me angrily. We don't need you. You always look sad. You're just a burden, my sister-in-law, who never helps at home, said mean things. Wait a second, Morris, your mom and sister are being too mean, I tried to say, but before I could finish, even my husband Mauricio looked disappointed in me. My mom and sister are right. I don't need a wife who can't do chores and work. I have a young girl who helps part-time and is much better, Mauricio said firmly. All three of them kept saying hurtful things, calling me a bad wife. I clenched my fists, feeling angry. After using me all this time, how could they be so mean? Just you wait. I'll make sure you all get what's coming to you. But I looked at the three of them and said, without changing my expression, fine, I'll leave. The family that's been putting everything on me will see what happens next. My name is Eleanor. I'm 32 and a working wife. Nowadays, many women work after getting married, and I've kept working at the same company even after finishing college because I enjoy it. One morning, while I was getting ready for work, Mauricio asked me, "Hey, Eleanor, can you handle this? Tax season is coming," and he handed me a bunch of receipts and invoices. Again, you should handle the shop's accounting. Mauricio avoided eye contact. You know I'm better at it, so please. I married Mauricio 5 years ago. He used to work at a restaurant where I'd sometimes go after a few dates. We decided to get married. Now Mauricio has his own cafe, but he leaves all the boring tasks like buying things and accounting to me. As I headed out the door, my mother-in-law said, "Eleanor, I want Chinese food tonight. Can you get the ingredients?" "No, you can do it when you get back." Also, Vivian and the kids are coming this weekend. "Make sure you cook something they'll like," I reluctantly replied before leaving the house. When we got married, I wanted to live just with Mauricio, but he said we should live with his mom because he was worried about her being alone. So we moved to his big family house. My mother-in-law isn't good at cleaning, and the place was a mess when we moved in. She gets money from her pension but spends most of it eating out because she doesn't like cooking. Mauricio always says that housework is a woman's job, so even though I work too, I have to do all the chores for everyone in the family. On top of that, my sister-in-law, Vivian, who moved out after getting married, often comes back home with her kids. When she's here, I have even more work to do. This morning, when I heard she's coming back this weekend, I thought, oh no, not again. And then the dreaded weekend comes. I'd love to relax on my days off from work, but instead, I have to take care of Vivian's kids and cook while rushing around. Vivian drops a big news on me. "Eleanor, by the way, I'm getting divorced and moving back here with a kid next month. Just so you know." "What? Are you serious? That's a problem with that?" No. That must be hard for you. When are you moving back?" "As soon as I can." My sister-in-law is coming home with her kids. At first, I'm surprised, but then I think it might be good because Vivian used to be a housewife, so she might help with the chores. That would make my life easier. Even though we're not very close, I hope for less work and to go on with my days. But I quickly realized I was wrong. Vivian, just like her mom, doesn't do anything. She spends all day watching TV and eating snacks. She doesn't work or help around the house. Her laziness with chores was one of the reasons for her divorce. Now I have to do all the chores, even making meals for her fussy kids and getting them ready for school. As time goes on, my job gets busier with a new project needing more hours and early mornings. The house gets messier and messier. Coming home to a messy house is really disappointing, but everyone keeps asking, "When's dinner?" or saying, "You're so slow." To make things worse, Vivian and my mother-in-law start making rude comments. "Eleanor, the laundry is piling up. Just because you worked doesn't mean you can be lazy, but I'm busy too. When I try to explain, Vivian interrupts, talking back to your mother-in-law, "You're so brave, Eleanor. And you've been buying all the meals. That's not good for the kids. If you're home, can't you help a little?" "What are you saying? Mauricio owns a business. You don't have to work. You're just selfish." So be a perfect wife. I couldn't believe it, and they acted like it was normal. That night I was so mad I could burst, so I talked to Mauricio. "I'm busy with work, and neither your mom nor your sister is helping with the chores. Could you help me a bit? I'm busy with my business. You might not get it because you have an easy job in an office, but running a business is tough. And isn't housework a wife's job? Don't expect me to help." "Are you serious?" Mauricio just goes to sleep, leaving me upset. But then I get an idea. I think of something good. I quickly grab my phone and order some things online before going to bed. A few days later, a bunch of new gadgets arrive. A machine that washes and dries clothes, a robot that cleans, and kitchen tools that cook by themselves. If no one's going to help me, I'll use these gadgets to make my chores easier. While the delivery guys bring in the new washer, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law arrive. "You bought a new washer without asking. The old one still works. But it's old, and this will make laundry faster and easier," I argue. "What's all this?" "A cleaning robot and cooking gadgets." They call me to the living room, where they're sitting on the sofa, and I'm told to sit on the floor. Mauricio is there too, sitting with his mom, looking pleased. "What's happening?" I ask. My mother-in-law yells, "What do you mean, what's happening? You spend all this money on lazy gadgets with the household money. What were you thinking?" "I thought it would help with chores. It's not about helping. People these days rely too much on machines," my sister-in-law adds. "Exactly, Eleanor. And those are fancy items. The ones we have still work. You're just wasting money because Mauricio owns a business." She stares at me, and Mauricio agrees. "But you're just making things easier for yourself. Can't you even do chores properly?" I wanted to reply, "Look who's talking," but I stayed quiet. Finally, my mother-in-law, maybe tired of my quietness, snaps, "If you can't do chores properly, you should leave." I stare at her in surprise. She stares back at me. "We don't need you. Mauricio and I can manage without you. You always seem tired and unhappy," my sister-in-law says, like she's had enough. "Hold on, Mauricio. Your mom and sister are being too mean." When I look to Mauricio for support, he looks down at me and says, "They're right. I don't need a wife who can't handle chores." I look at Mauricio in shock, but he just smirks. "I'm a business owner, and I can spend my money however I want. I don't need a wife who spends it to make her life easier. And I've been getting along with a young part-time help. She's pretty, unlike you. Pack your things and go." Shocked by Mauricio's words, all three start criticizing me, saying I'm a bad wife. I clench my fists in anger. After using me for so long, they say this to me. "Just you wait, I'll make you sorry," but I stayed calm and said, "Okay, I'll go." "Good will be better without you," my mother-in-law said meanly, and I quietly stood up and put something on the table. "Mauricio, let's get divorced." It was a form for divorce that I had prepared earlier. Tired of everything? Okay, I'll sign it, but don't regret it later. Mauricio signed the papers, and I packed my bags and moved to a temporary apartment the same day. No one said goodbye to me. I handed in the divorce papers at City Hall and rented a new place. At the same time, I accepted a promotion at work that I had been turning down because of housework, and I became a department head. I was able to move forward in my career, which I had almost given up on, and I focused more and more on my job, happy that nobody was there to hold me back. About a week after leaving, my ex-mother-in-law started calling, but I was busy and didn't want to talk to someone who had called me worthless. I kept ignoring her calls. A year later, on a day when I wasn't working, she called again, thinking it was time to sort things out. I answered, "Hello." "Ah, Eleanor, why did you ignore me?" "You finally picked up." "Why did you ignore me for over a year? What do you want?" "Well, how are you?" "Are you okay?" I replied honestly, "I'm doing great, working hard in my own place. I got a better job and more money. I'm living well." "Really?" Will you think about coming back?" She sounded almost desperate. "Why now?" "We're having problems. We're running out of money." I couldn't help but smile as I said, "Oh, Mauricio's cafe isn't even making $1,000 in profit, huh? And neither you nor your daughter are working. Ellen, are you new?" "Yes, I knew." Mauricio's cafe was only making about $800 a month in profit. I handled the money, so of course I knew. Mauricio acted like a big business owner, but didn't manage things properly or take care of customers, so he probably didn't know. Of course I knew. I was the one doing all the money stuff and keeping track of what we had. Why didn't he tell us? "I didn't know you were a big manager at a company and giving so much money for us to live. Yeah, why didn't you tell us?" I was giving over $3,000 every month. That's how we all managed. I was adding my money to help because I knew Mauricio's shop wasn't making much. Maybe Mauricio realized he couldn't handle things without my money after I left. "Please, Eleanor, come back." "Oh, by the way, what happened to Mauricio's shop?" Ignoring my ex-mother-in-law's request, I asked, "Is Mauricio's shop closing next month?" Even the part-time helper left him. It's not surprising with such bad management. He can't run a business, and he's too proud to do what he needs to do. No woman would want to be with a man like that. I laughed, and my ex-mother-in-law didn't know what to say. "Can we finish?" "I'm busy," she quickly said. "Also, the house has been a mess since he left." She said the house was a mess because no one was cleaning. The house was messy. Nobody was cooking, so they had to buy meals, and they couldn't even buy a new washing machine. It would have been nice if he left those machines. What are you saying? Those lazy machines. And why can't I take what I paid for? I shouldn't have said that, but I never thought the house would get like this just because nobody was doing chores. Isn't it strange that 3 grown-ups can't handle chores? What are your daughter and Mauricio doing? Well, Mauricio is sitting at home all day doing nothing since he found out his shop isn't making money. He said he could spend his money however he wanted because he's a business owner, and Vivian won't work, no matter what. She doesn't do chores, and she even asks me for money for herself and her kids. My pension is running out. Really? Your daughter told me she didn't need me because she had you, I said coldly. My ex-mother-in-law tried to be nice again. "Please, Eleanor, my pension isn't enough for us anymore. I don't want to go back to that house. Your children are quite the freeloaders, aren't they?" She didn't know what to say. As I was about to end the call, she kept talking. "Eleanor, please, my pension isn't enough for us anymore. I don't want to go back to that house. I don't have to help you, and I don't want to. Figure it out yourselves. Goodbye from your useless wife." I hung up and blocked her number, ignoring her cries. 3 months later, sipping my coffee in my tidy apartment, I chuckled. 3 months later, I happened to walk past Mauricio's cafe. It was closed. Even their house was sold, according to a neighbor I met. They sold the house and moved to a small apartment nearby. They caused trouble in the neighborhood, always fighting and making a mess. People complained a lot. They could have worked hard and taken care of their home, but they didn't, which wasn't surprising. I looked at their old house and walked away. Since then, I focus on my work. Recently, a nice colleague told me he liked me, saying, "I love how you work so hard. Let's date, and maybe get married. I think my next marriage isn't far off, and this time I'm